"I'm pregnant," the billionaire CEO declared after a drunken night with a single dad. He froze. The coffee cup slipped from Rowan Hale's trembling hand and shattered across the marble floor of his tiny bakery. Morning sunlight poured through the windows, children laughed outside on their way to school, and the smell of fresh bread filled the air. Yet none of it mattered anymore. Standing across from him in an expensive cream-colored suit, with tears shining in her eyes, billionaire CEO Selene quietly placed a medical report on the counter and said that she was pregnant. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of unexpected love, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Unlimited. Tell us where you are watching from and whether you believe two broken people can find hope together. Rowan could not speak. He was a 36-year-old single father raising his 8-year-old son, Eli, alone after losing his wife years earlier. His days began before sunrise, baking bread and pastries in the small shop he struggled to keep open. He had no savings, no luxury cars, and no powerful connections. He only had his son, his kindness, and his determination to survive. Selene was the complete opposite. At 34, she owned one of the largest technology companies in the city. She appeared on magazine covers, attended charity galas, and lived in a glass mansion overlooking the skyline. The business world called her cold and untouchable. Employees feared her, investors respected her, and newspapers followed her every move. Their worlds had collided only once. 3 weeks earlier, during a bright Saturday afternoon, Rowan had delivered pastries to a charity event after the original supplier cancelled. The event was organized by Selene's company. While everyone surrounded the billionaire CEO, Rowan remained unnoticed, quietly arranging bread and desserts. As evening arrived, rain covered the city. The celebration turned into an expensive party filled with investors and executives. Rowan stayed behind to clean. It was then that he found Selene alone on a balcony, exhausted and overwhelmed. For the first time in years, the powerful woman looked completely human. The pressure of lawsuits, shareholder demands, and public expectations had finally broken her. She drank far more than she should have. Rowan offered coffee, a warm coat, and simply listened. There was no judgment in his eyes. He did not know the value of her company or care about her wealth. He only saw a lonely woman. The night became a blur of rain, honest conversations, and shared pain. Selene spoke about growing up without love. Rowan spoke about losing his wife and raising his son alone. For a few hours, the billionaire and the baker forgot who they were. When morning came, they separated quietly. Rowan believed he would never see her again. Now she stood inside his bakery carrying news that changed everything. The days that followed became difficult for both of them. News reporters discovered that Selene had disappeared from a public event weeks earlier. Rumors spread across social media. Investors questioned her leadership. Company directors demanded answers. Rowan faced different problems. Customers recognized Selene's expensive car parked outside his bakery. Some accused him of chasing money. Others claimed he was trying to trap a wealthy woman. His small business began losing customers. Meanwhile, little Eli noticed his father growing distant. The boy had already experienced loss once in his life. He feared another change. Selene also struggled with fear. Despite her wealth, she had no family to support her. Her parents had abandoned her emotionally long ago, and her business partners only cared about profits. For the first time, she realized that money could not protect her from loneliness. One sunny afternoon, she visited Rowan's bakery again. Instead of discussing lawyers, contracts, or public relations, she helped him serve customers. She burned bread, spilled flour, and laughed for the first time in years. Eli watched her carefully from a corner table. Over the next several weeks, Selene continued returning during the daytime. She learned how to knead dough. She sat with Eli while he completed homework. She walked through local parks without bodyguards and discovered ordinary happiness. Yet the outside world became harsher. Several board members attempted to remove her as CEO, believing motherhood would weaken her leadership. Reporters waited outside Rowan's shop. Investors demanded that she deny the pregnancy publicly. One morning, Selene arrived in tears. The company she had built was turning against her. Rowan had very little to offer. He could not provide private jets or legal teams. But he sat beside her on a park bench beneath warm afternoon sunlight and reminded her that being loved mattered more than being admired. He told her that Eli had once asked why his mother had to leave so soon. Rowan never had an answer. but he promised himself that anyone who entered his son's life would always be chosen with kindness. Those words changed Selene. Instead of hiding, she held a public conference during the day. Cameras flashed as she announced her pregnancy and refused to apologize for becoming a mother. She stated that success meant nothing if people were forced to sacrifice their humanity. Many investors left. Many employees stayed. Her company survived. Months passed. Rowan's bakery slowly became popular again because customers saw the honesty of the little family forming inside. Selene continued leading her company while preparing for motherhood. Eli began calling her every evening after school. The greatest moment arrived one bright spring morning when Rowan opened the bakery and found Selene standing outside holding a small box. Inside was not a business contract or financial agreement. It was a simple house key. She had purchased a modest home near the bakery, not a mansion, because she wanted their child to grow up with laughter, neighbors, and sunlight instead of empty luxury rooms. Rowan finally understood that love had entered their lives quietly, not through wealth or power, but through kindness. Before we reach the ending, please leave a comment saying, "Kindness changes lives." The day their daughter was born, sunlight filled the hospital room. Eli held his baby sister carefully while Rowan stood beside Selene. The billionaire CEO who once ruled boardrooms alone now cried tears of gratitude. The struggling single father who had spent years believing happiness was gone finally found hope again. Years later, people still told the story of the billionaire and the baker. Some spoke about money. Others discussed business. But those who knew them understood the truth. A lonely woman found a family. A grieving father found love. A child found a mother. And a single act of kindness on a rainy evening changed 4 lives forever. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to Kindness Unlimited. Your support helps these stories reach people who may need hope, second chances, and reminders that kindness can still change the world. Because sometimes the most unexpected words can become the beginning of a beautiful new life. And sometimes, when everything seems lost, love quietly walks into a small bakery on a sunny morning and decides to stay forever.